Hi, welcome to a new Roboflow training movie. A couple of movies ago we made an example of a hot folder where you could drop a file in and it would look for the existing file and make a copy of the file next to the original and then update the record to that new file. Today we're going to do a little variation on that, where we are going to copy that file still, but we are not going to replace the record but duplicate the record, so that we will have two records of the same with the same metadata. So instead of creating a new workflow, I'm going to say duplicate, and I'm going to call it find record. Good. And if I go to the parameters, I'm keeping the same parameters as before. And now we go in here. So the first thing is I want to know if my catalog is open. So I'm saying test if first loop. We still keep that. We open the catalog up front, and maybe we give this a nicer name. Test if first loop, like that. And here we could do the same thing. We could say test if last item in the loop. Which makes it all a little bit more readable. Then we're going to store the file name without extension. We're going to do find records, and then we're going to process the records that we found. We're storing the folder of the original record, as you could see in the previous demo, with the little extra functionality that I added here from the asset reference field, the word folder, which gives me the folder of the asset. This workflow, of course, assumes that the files are on disk and not in the vault. Then next thing is that this was storing it as a text, and now I'm storing that text as a real target folder. And then I'm copying the file. And then I was storing the complete file path as a text to be able to set it here in the asset reference. At this point, the copy file, should you decide not to put the file next to the original, then you don't have to get the folder file, and you just put the path hard-coded where you want to copy the files to. If you do want to keep them next to them, then you keep this part the same. And then here, instead of now immediately setting the asset reference, I'm going to duplicate the record. So I'm going to say new. I'm going to go to, here, my continuous record functionalities, and I'm looking for duplicate record. There is no functionality, as you can see, to duplicate a record. We can check in the catalog as well if it might be here, duplicate record, but I don't think it exists. You can see it does not exist. So what we want to do is we go here, and then we go to this one, and I could say export the record. And then when I export the record, it will ask me which record do I want to export and the variable of the folder to use. I just had the target folder, so I keep that target folder, and the output variable is the file of the record. export file of the record. And now I have that new instruction in here, and the next new instruction is import. So import record, and which catalog to use, hot, which file to process. Well, I just created the export file. Permission template, important that you select the right permission template. Its catalog can be catalog depending, so always have to select the catalog. And then I can say new record. And now in my next instruction, I am not going to set the asset reference to the hot, but to the new file, which just sets the pointer of that record to that new file that we had. So the new file path. Okay, and same for the next one, the update. We're not updating the hot, but we're updating the new record, of course, to make sure. And here you see the asset handling sets, so make sure that they are available and have the correct settings. So that's how easy it is. If this went a little bit fast for you, first check out the other Roboflow training movie called Roboflow XX hotfolder update record and file. It goes in a little bit more details. The modifications we did here is instead of changing the pointer of the record, the asset reference, to the new file, I duplicated the record by exporting it and then importing it. There's one more thing that you could do, is that the export file, that XML file that is created, you could delete that export file after it was imported. So we could add one more instruction here and say file folder, and then we could say delete a file. And which file do you want to delete? Well, I want to delete that export file. And that's all. So this was a quick example of how to create a hot folder workflow that will look for a file and put it next to it. You could elaborate the workflow, extend the functionality of the workflow if you don't find it, that you could do something else with it, that you could catalog it anyway. And so there are several possibilities to grow this workflow, but these are the functionalities in this example. Thank you for joining me, and see you in another demo movie.